It is a very rare instance when an expansion actually expands onto its game. Barbarian Invasion is a perfect example of that. Now there's other great expansions out there. I love Age of Charlemagne, Kingdoms is great, Fall of the Samurai, well, it's not my thing, but I cannot deny that it is certainly liked by many other people. This video is not to hate on those, but rather just to lift Barbarian Invasion up to have the credit it deserved as being the most innovative expansion in the Total War series. Generally speaking, expansions don't expand, really, and rather just provide the same mechanics with a couple extra for gameplay. It's a smaller and more focused campaign map and a few additional units here and there, but generally speaking, the devs either don't have the time and resources or the daring to make it stand out away from the main title too much. Rome Total War was so well loved that changing the formula in Barbarian Invasion may have left a stain on the main title. It would have been easy for the devs to just copy and paste Rome Total War and maybe just change the starting locations to reflect a different time period, but they didn't. Okay, the map was a copy and paste, but a new variety of settlements were added with multiple new unique factions, each with a new unit roster. Not one unit from Rome Total War appears in Barbarian Invasion. Each one is new in some form, whether that be new stats, new unit cards, new unit models, or the entire thing just completely original to the Total War series. Unlike Alexander, which borrowed some units like Cretan archers for example. No, Barbarian Invasion, everything was new. Now you're probably thinking Kingdoms had the same treatment, and to an extent it did. New reworked maps, yes. New factions with new mechanics, yes, but new units? Not to the level of Barbarian. Kingdoms still takes Medieval 2 Total War units, which is logical for the devs, but the same devs could have done the same for Barbarian Invasion. But they didn't. They didn't take the easy way out with the Barbarian Invasion expansion. They redesigned everything. Even the peasants were completely different. Different stats, pricing, different purpose, different model, different unit card, and they even came with their own interesting mechanic where they generate less public order than normal units. But the devs did not stop there with this game. They took it further, introducing mechanics that could well have been game breaking or hated by the community, but they made it work and fit it into the game with a formula that was simple to understand. Religion and Hordes are the mechanics that I'm talking about here, both of which even made their way into Medieval 2 Total War, and into other future titles as well, something that other expansions have not really been able to achieve. What did Kingdoms add that is now being used in future titles, like big overhaul mechanics? It added new and interesting elements to the gameplay, but nothing massive that spanned most campaigns and could be experienced by all factions, and would be used yet again in future titles repeatedly. It just did not happen for Kingdoms. Therefore, to have the religion mechanic in Barbarian alone is the reason why this is the most innovative expansion, because the innovative mechanics were used yet again in future titles. They were that good. Age of Charlemagne, however, also did this with the war weariness mechanic and how they redid Imperium to be used to make the campaign harder the larger you got, kind of preventing the snowballing of the human player, which I really liked in that DLC. And I would say Age of Charlemagne is the second most innovative campaign and probably the most entertaining to play, but that's just my opinion. The third and final innovation they made for Barbarian Invasion is with the challenge. In Barbarian Invasion, many elements are added to the game to increase difficulty. Your financial and public order crisis that you start off in as Western Roman Empire is a perfect example of that. The massive hordes that could snowball into your lands at any given time, and the and the two hordes that already exist, the Vandals and the Huns, are also a great threat in the early game. Not only this though, but there's no more Greek phalanxes, so the player can no longer use that unit to hold off thousands of enemies in a choke point, and bridge battles were also reworked, so that units can now swim across the river, meaning that you can no longer abuse the terrain's choke point to your advantage the way you could do before. And that's something that really Kingdoms does not do. It does not really add difficulty. Age of Charlemagne also does this extremely well. The Imperium mechanic actually makes your faction harder to manage the larger you get. The war weariness, which can cause extreme public order and morale issues globally if you mess up in one far off part of your empire. It is, in a way, a similar snowball effect as we see being used in Barbarian Invasion, to represent a new form of difficulty. What does Kingdoms add that mirrors that? Okay, in the Americas, if you play as a non-European, true that can be difficult, and in the Crusades, there's some pretty large stacks to go up against. But generally it does not seem to reach the level of increased challenge that those other two expansions have managed to add. Overall, I love these expansions and have had many great hours on all of them, but the leap from Rome Told to War to Barbarian Invasion was by far the greatest leap, making Barbarian Invasion the most innovative expansion produced for the Total War franchise. Even to this day, many of the expansion's mechanics are still reused in newer titles. Less effective bridge battles, hordes, religion, and even emergent factions such as the Romano-British and the Slavs and the two rebel factions. All of these mechanics do make a comeback again in future titles. That's how good these were. That's how revolutionary these ideas were in gaming at the time. However, it seems many of you do not agree, as shown by this Discord poll here. However, despite this, many of you believe Barbarian Invasion is more enjoyable than Kingdoms, as shown by this survey that was carried out several months ago now. Of course, everyone will have their own opinion on this. This is just my opinion, and by all means comment yours down below in the comment section. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe and share if you did. I've been MELKOR, hope to see you in the next one, and goodbye.